down, the defenders are coming up the field to stop a pass. So they're right in the way of any kind of a reverse. That's strictly a first down play, and they went to it on 3rd and medium, and the pass rush itself stopped the reverse.
There's a coach that had worked on that in practice. Fine kick by Wagner. Johnson will let it drop, and it'll kick into the end zone for the touchback. So with 3:54 remaining in this first half, it's the Broncos by 10, and they have the ball again.
Plenty of time left for Cleveland to get the ball back. Use their timeouts, get the ball back.
And Kozar honing his passing game. Here comes Elway, who has not had a year that he was very proud of. He said he can't help but be disappointed. 18 touchdowns, 18 interceptions. He said, but going into the playoffs, this is where it's fun now. It's a game again. It's not just a business. Play action. Ooh. And incomplete as he throws to Vance Johnson. So with all that time, no one worked free. Good coverage by Cleveland.
Well,
into the eyes of former Raider coach Mike Shanahan, as you all well know. Coached last year with the Raiders head coach in the first half of this season, fired by Al Davis. And Dan Reeves says, sure, as a former assistant, I'll take you back as the quarterback coach. And things seemed to perk and pick up as he rejoined Elway, a close friend.
Well, it's almost like Shanahan's a guru for Elway. They just communicate so closely, and they have a feel for each other related to what's going on in the game and how to prepare for the opposition. So that combination has the chemistry it takes to win greatness. Incomplete pass. They didn't use much time off that clock.
9 men on the line of scrimmage for Denver, and one of them invades and slams into the ball carrier in the shovel pass. It was Robert Banks, number 97. Winder didn't have a chance.
Banks wasn't going to buy it. They wanted him up the field to pass rush, and he could not really get it done. You'll see him coming up the field right into the heat of this pass. So they naturally assumed that it would be taken, but he comes right up underneath and just nails it.
To Winder's credit, he did not fumble. 3rd down and 10. Good protection. And the pass is complete to Sewell. It'll depend on the spot. Now they're going to mark it at the 29. That will not be a first down. He tried to squirm forward out of the grasp of Thane Gash. But well, no, now they're going to mark it right on the end line. He had first marked it with his foot about half yard shy of the 30 and then replaced it at the 30.
Really appeared he was clearly down before they spotted the ball, before he got to that line. You see him come out of the backfield, break to the outside. Beautiful move on Gash. Beautiful move. Now Gash, the only thing he can do is catch up, but he's down there. He's touched. The ball didn't cross the line before he touched him.
Another tough call, but the official says first down for the Denver Broncos with 2:45 left in this opening half. The Broncos lead 10-0, and it could be even greater.
The little things. We've always heard that about any sport, but the little things. Just the placement of that ball. What a difference. Cleveland would get it back. Instead, naturally, Denver has the ball. So those little things like that, you have to overcome.
Sammy Winder stopped right at the line of scrimmage by Thane Gash, as Bobby Humphrey, we understand, has now gone back to the Denver locker room for x-rays on the ribs. A reminder to our viewers, we'll be selecting the Budweiser Most Valuable Player in today's game. We'll announce that near the conclusion of today's contest as the clock ticks down to the 2-minute timeout. John Elway and the Broncos are riding high in this first half, 10-0.
Wouldn't it be great if lawyers showed up to tell you that someone you didn't even know left you like $8 gazillion? And wouldn't it be great if the lawyers brought beer? Really great beer like Keystone, the fresh cold filtered beer in a can that tastes like beer in a bottle because of Keystone's specially lined can. And wouldn't it be great if your boss called demanding information and you said call 411, introducing Keystone and Keystone Light, bottled beer taste in a can. Wouldn't that be great?
The comparison of the two starting quarterbacks in the the numbers, of course, favoring Elway. 205 yards to 51. And one big touchdown throw, 70 yards to Michael Young. Second down and 10, Denver. 2 minutes left, first half. The Broncos by 10.
Cleveland can't afford to give up any more points. Just can't afford it.
Elway, Big Daddy gets to him. Hairston with a sack. He had 6.5 during the regular season. And this man who started with the Philadelphia Eagles for many years is up with a big play here in Denver.
Well, Cleveland can still get the ball back. Even though they had that judgment call on the 20-yard line a few moments ago, they can still get it back. Now, you see excellent pass rush. A line stunt. Hairston's just straight up the field, and 2 people miss him, including, is that Perry that was up the field? Perry made it up the field, right. And 2 people missed him. Bratton, a fine blocker in the backfield, let him get by him. That quickness is, well, something you always need on a football field.
One of the few in this game for Cleveland to know that taste of a Super Bowl, although he lost as the Raiders beat his Philadelphia team in New Orleans back in 1980. Elway uses a timeout with 1:23 left. 3rd and long for Reeves Broncos. Well, we came into this game, Bill Walsh, with a feeling that it would be high scoring. I thought it'd take 30 points to win it, but so far 10-0.
Well, Kozar wasn't himself early on, and maybe he's still not himself as far as accuracy, and maybe even a little bit of poise. And I think that's the difference. Cleveland hasn't been able to control the ball, and both coaches concede that time of possession is vital. Bud Carson in particular.
Yeah, they both have shown the ability in this, what has become really an interesting playoff rivalry, the ability to come back. Remember, it was Elway's comeback in the long drive and then the win in overtime 3 years ago. Then 2 years ago it was Kozar coming back from a big deficit, only to have the tragic fumble at the 2. At halftime, O.J. Simpson with Messrs. Beathard and Wiley, and we'll be chatting live with Al Davis to get his impressions of many items. This game, the second game, the NFC final at Candlestick. Where he's going with the Raiders, and is he going into the Hall of Fame?
He certainly should.
Give us to Sewell on a little reverse, and Clay Matthews, not fooled, drops him at the 24-yard line. So 4th down. Do the Browns call time here? The clock is running. 1:13, 1:12, 1:11.
You can't believe it. There it is. Now that cost them about 10 seconds waiting to call that timeout.
It is the first spent by Bud Carson. 2 left, and now Dan Reeves warning his team of a possible return and protect the punter as Bud Carson sends back dangerous Gerald McNeil. I was chatting with McNeil yesterday, where he weighs 145 pounds, and he said, "Whoa, what weather?" He says, "Don't call me Ice Cube." He says, "I'm a whole ice tray. I can melt in this stuff."
Well, it's sure strange this time of year to be sitting in this atmosphere. But a 10-yard punt return. And the other thing that Kozar will get at this point is a different Denver defense, more of a prevent defense, giving him a little more chance to throw the ball inside and hooking patterns, so they could still come out of it with a field goal with just a couple of completions.
Would that be your attitude if you were with the Browns at this point? Hey, don't get greedy now. A 3 would be terrific here. If a touchdown comes out of it, all the better. But that's all we're looking for is 3 points.
Both teams should think 3 points. Denver's defense should say the worst that can happen is 3 points. So 3 points is the critical factor here.
Good pressure on Horan. Gets his end-over-end away. McNeil took a fair catch with only 1 man downfield at the 29-yard line. Boy, that had some, if he could have eluded the first man down, he had some running room. 47-yard punt, and there's Mike Pagel, the backup to Bernie Kosar. He's had his moment in this season, a very critical moment in overtime. It was his pass out of fake field goal formation to Van Waiters that beat the Vikings.
That fair catch was a bad decision. That cost him that 10 yards I was just speaking of.
Manoa back with Kozar. The guns incomplete to Slaughter.
When this game's over, Dick, And if Cleveland were to lose, those are the kinds of things that would just haunt a player, because you take it upon yourself as a player, anything that goes wrong where you don't really play up to your greatness. And this is a case of a ball that was drilled in and just took his eye off it slightly.
Third drop by the Browns, the biggest being by Langhorne, who was close to the Denver goal line when he dropped his opportunity. Kozar tackled from behind. Ron Holmes.
Well, one more try on third down. Kozar is taking an inordinate amount of time to get the ball off, even with that last pass. So he's looking up the field, and he's not confused, but Denver must be covering especially well.
Screen to Manoa, and he has blockers, but can get only to the 34-yard line, 6 yards shy of a first down. Randy Robbins with the tackle. 25 seconds on the clock, and Denver spends a timeout.
At halftime, I'm sure there'll be at least a remark or two between coaches, between Bud Carson and his offensive coordinator, Mark Trestman, on Pagel, whether or not that's even feasible. Bernie's brought him this far. He's proven to be a great performer, but the Browns need something at this point. It most likely is related to them getting to those things that work best for them all year. There's Mark Trestman, a very bright, capable young coach. But the problem with young, the term young, is he hasn't had much experience, much exposure.
Yeah, but you didn't think you were young when you were his age. You thought, hey, didn't you think you were ready for?
I knew everything.
Turned out you did.
It took Paul Brown to demonstrate to me that I didn't.
Sent you on your way.
So with a handful of seconds left, 25, Wagner faces a 10-man rush. And a very bad kick comes out of there that lands on the 45-yard line of the Denver Broncos. They'll mark it at the 43.
Last week with 8 seconds left, if you remember, Dick, Elway threw one pass and then kicked the field goal with just 8 seconds.
And that was the key to the whole game. Reeves said the biggest play of the game, because the field goal hit the upright, Treadwell's attempt, and that 3 points was the difference in the game. And for Art Modell, 29 years, the owner of the Cleveland Browns, now 64. Not a happy posture for Modell.
Well, they've had so many fine teams and have been so close so many times. Art deserves a championship, and I'm sure at some point he'll get one. May not be today.
This is the 22nd time in 40 years he's had his team in the playoffs. Elway to the sidelines, incomplete to Winder. That is the best. I want to go back to that because it's significant. 22 times Cleveland Browns in the playoffs in 40 years. That is the best of any NFL team. And yet, when you look at the old line NFL, before the merger, when they go into Super Bowl I, only the Browns, along with Detroit, Atlanta, and the Cardinals, those are the only 4 old line NFL teams that have not made it to the Super Bowl. And the Browns have had so many chances. That's made it all the more frustrating for that man. But he's got time left. Big 30.
Plenty of time left. They can't give it up here, though. Even 3 points.
Elway loads the gun and hits Johnson at the 38 of Denver. 6 seconds to go in the half.
Well, he needs something right now that'll get him up 8 to 10 yards. Most likely a play breaking toward the sideline. Most likely from a receiver in the slot or the inside position. Something of that nature, but they have to get it thrown, caught, and the receiver down or out of bounds immediately, or the clock will run out. Either that or it'll just go for the end zone. Say the heck with it.
Well, that might be the call, because Cleveland undoubtedly will be looking for that short out and might squeeze up tight.
There's the outbreak. People were right there waiting for it.
Boy, Frank Minifield, it's a good thing that pass was low, and maybe intentionally thrown low by Elway, because Minifield on the double team, he had Gash covering the receiver, and Minifield was darting in front and looking for 6 the other way. Treadwell comes on, And this will be a very long attempt by this youngster from Clemson, who was a GTE Academic All-America there. A very popular kicker. Carlos left, didn't sign. Treadwell took over. This will be 54 yards. His longest this year, 46. Blocked. And Winder makes sure it goes out of bounds. And that was a live ball. The Browns could have picked it up and run with it.
Well, just that'll help the Browns. Just that block.
Michael Dean Perry appeared to be the man who blocked the kick.
Now, you really have to kick sharply and a low kick, although the pressure came right up inside. There were too many people for the offensive lineman to account for.
Perry 92 and 75 Pike were right there in the middle of the Browns defense. So it was all Denver. But for Cleveland, they can praise the defense. They held Elway and the Broncos, who had so many opportunities, to just 10 points. So the Broncos have the first half advantage. Let's go to O.J. Simpson.
Coming up at halftime on NFL Live, Al Davis will join us from Los Angeles to talk about the Raiders' future. He'll also have an opinion on today's conference championship.
Forgotten you, Bill Walsh. You gave him a little extra mileage and all kinds of money, I understand.
A lot of money. I thought he could still play
Were you
after
right?
a fashion. Well, he was a great moral help on the team.
All right, first half. One touchdown, 10-0 Denver, and Michael Young, an unlikely hero, breaks away from Minifield.
A major mistake by Minifield there. He almost had contempt for Young going down the field. And you'll see Young catch the ball. Young's much faster than most people think because Minifield has his chance and he can't catch him.
In fact, he told us a couple of days ago, he said when he learned that he might be a plan B, he said one thing he wanted to prove was that he can run faster. Get out the stopwatch. I'm a little over 4.5. I'm not a 4.7, and I can get open.
Yeah.
Proved his point. We'll return the second half of action. Both teams are on the field after this word from your local stations. The Browns will get it first in the second half. Eric Metcalf waits at the 6-yard line. 10-0 Denver. 30 minutes from the Super Bowl. Again, a low liner, and it takes a bounce to Metcalf. Darting to the 30 and twisted down by Darren Carrington. Bernie Kosar comes on the field. There was one high moment offensively. This long pass to Langhorne in the clear, but Langhorne, the pass a little low, unable to pull it in.
Just short-armed it a little bit, but his speed was very evident. He just had Braxton blowing off the field.
Now, if you were Bud Carson, you'd have to remind your offense, hey, we can get open. We can get the big play.
They need it on first down. They're not going to get it on third down.
Metcalf twisting, but caught by an ankle and dropped after a yard or two. Greg Cragen, number 71, and Simon Fletcher, 73. A look at the halftime statistics, and it's all in the right-hand column. The Denver Broncos, except for rushing, 35-20. The Browns had the edge there. But look at the passing yards.
Just the downfield throws just haven't been there for Cleveland other than Langhorne's drop. Again, it'll take a first down play pass to make a big play down the field. Bernie Kosar, 7 of 23.
It's on around 30%. On 2nd and 8. Kosar finally guns it incomplete to Metcalf. Just couldn't find a man open.
Well, they got the coverage they wanted. Brooks was outside covering Metcalf. And Michael Brooks is an excellent athlete, but he's 6'1", 235. So you see him come up underneath this play to make it. There he is. And it's open, but the ball's thrown behind him. This is the story of the game. Ball's thrown behind, ball's dropped, fair catch unnecessarily, those kinds of things. But they can all be overcome with one big play down the field.
Kosar facing the stingiest defense in the NFL, and they've shut him out so far. Kosar running and sliding to a first down, and what a hit by Dennis Smith as Kosar was sliding in, and he's saying, wasn't that a penalty? It used to be when you slide in you can't hit a man, that you're giving yourself up with that baseball slide, but no flag goes down.
Well, that's two men playing for a championship. Two great performers. Smith knows what he's doing. He's got this man vulnerable, but Kozar has to go for it. That's the entire dimension of a championship game right there.
16 yards for Kozar, who has rushed for 22 today. That's almost a career high for him. Out of the backfield to Metcalf. And out of bounds at the 48 of Denver, a gain of nearly 5. Wyman Henderson on the corner.
You know, Al Davis pointed out at halftime, Kozar under the center at this point is much more effective than the shotgun. He's got the run threat. He can get the ball off much more quickly. And the crowd noise is not a factor.
Plus the fact that Bernie's always said he likes it. He didn't like the shotgun. He likes to play from under center.
The crowd, the noise itself makes it imperative. But when you add up these other factors, he should be right in there where he is now.
First possession of the second half, 10-0 Denver. On 2nd and 6. Open, complete to Langhorne, and he has a first down at the 30 of the Broncos.
They've had a plan when they came out at halftime. They had a plan, and that's to stay in their base offensive formation. 2 running backs, including Metcalf, and work plays against the basic Denver defense. They know it's predictable, and these are the kinds of things they can do to it. Hooking type patterns, play passes, throwing quickly in the flat to Metcalf. That's what it'll take.
Reggie Langhorne from Elizabeth City, state of North Carolina. First down at the 30. Ron Middleton is in at tight end for Ozzie Newsome. Good protection underneath to Kevin Mack. And he meets a crowd at the 28-yard line. Short gain of a couple. Rick Dennison was the first man there. Dan Reeves barking it out from the sidelines. Head coach here at Denver at a relatively young age of 37. Carson had to wait till he was 58. He is the winningest coach in Denver history.
Clearly one of the great figures in the NFL today. A great coach, great person, but also he orchestrates the organization so beautifully.
Browns with their deepest penetration at the 27 of Denver. The quickie to Slaughter, incomplete. Steve Atwater, a punishing safety man right there, and he's saying something to Slaughter as Webster goes back to the huddle.
Slaughter's 170 pounds, Dick. That's a tough chore. Going right in on that slant with the corner rotating right up to him. Very difficult. Mecklenburg coming out and just taking him apart. Now Langhorne, 6'2" and 200. He'd most likely be the guy you'd throw a slant to.
Brennan and Slaughter to the left. Tillman and Langhorne to the right. Safety blitz. Open in the end zone is Brian Brennan. Cleveland touchdown.
Beautiful throw. Beautiful throw. Beautiful throw.
Ending a drought that covers nearly 2 full seasons. Brian Brennan, who did not have a touchdown all year, on a perfect corner pattern.
Well, Brian started to the post. Brennan started in tight, and then he broke back out. And again, he deceived the opposition with his speed. It didn't appear he was running that fast, but just by maneuvering his body, he was able to get a break on the defender. We'll have a chance to look at it in a minute.
Matt Barr adds the extra point, and the Browns open this second half seriously. They come away with 7, and it's a 3-point game.
You'll see him come off the line of scrimmage. Now watch him start to the inside, look in, and then break out. And Henderson didn't have the quickness to stay with it. Henderson played for the post. Henderson had help in the middle with a safety, but he still let that occur.
And I'll bet back in the East, his former college quarterback Doug Flutie cheering Brian Brennan.
It's back. The biggest battle in football history. As Budweiser takes on Bud Light in Bud Bowl 2. Pick up your official program wherever you see this display.
Hey, cool.
It's packed with trivia, player profiles, and details on how to order your Bud Bowl 2 souvenirs. Use it to follow the score on game day, and you'll be a winner. So get ready, get set. On January 28th, score with Bud Bowl 2. This time, it's war.
Sports coverage of the National Football League is brought to you by Budweiser and Bud Light, who will bring you Bud Bowl 2. This time, it's war. By Merrill Lynch, we're bullish on the 90s. And by Honda, who invites you to test drive the 1990 Prelude SI at your local Honda dealer.
Yep, just about time for the season to end. 10-7. Denver's lead is cut, and a good kick by Brian Wagner, and the Denver Broncos will have to start at the 20-yard line. Elway comes on the field.
We can take a look at Brennan's nice move. He'll make a move at the line to get released. Then he'll start in, and Henderson will play for it. Then he'll break back to the corner. The key to this is take a look at where that ball comes down. Kozer has to throw just a letter-perfect throw. Right up over the top, timed right into that corner. Beautifully thrown ball for that kind of a pattern.
One of the keys to that drive was Elway's scramble of 16 yards on third down. The give is to Winder as Bobby Humphrey, the brilliant rookie from Alabama, injured. Ribs in the first half has not returned. Frank Minifield makes the tackle, and now we understand will not return. Going back to Kozar's scramble to show you what an unusual play as you look at Humphrey, who's out of pads now. That's a sad note for him and his teammates. Only 23 yards for a man who gained over 1,100 this year in his first season. Pat Kelly, the tight end, also out with a knee injury.
Well, Humphrey would be vital at the end of the game, making plays that would control the ball. Not that Winder's so bad. He's had a great career. But Humphrey's probably the hottest running back in the league for that kind of thing.
2nd and 6. Winder to the 27, where it'll be 3rd and 3. I like to finish my thoughts about Kozar to show you how unusual 16-yard run. When you talk about Elway, hey, that's you expect that. But in his last 4 years, his 4 years in the NFL prior to this, Kozar's total rushing, that isn't it, but his total rushing, 28 yards. He gets 16 on one gallop, and that keeps that drive alive.
Well, he had an inspiration to do it because his team was lagging and in trouble. It took a play like that to pull him out of it.
All right, at 3rd and 3 as Cleveland picking up momentum, trying to stop Elway and the Broncos. Elway. Boy, look at him dance in that pocket. Now he throws long for Young again. Michael Young. All the way to the 20-yard line.
That was strictly a spontaneous play. Now you'll see Young running a hooking pattern right here. But the problem is Dixon takes his eye off him and loses him. So we've seen 2 gross errors by the cornerbacks that cost him heavily because it was strictly an out pattern, and Elway's resourcefulness and Young's quick-wittedness made the difference. Dixon dropped his coverage.
Elway called those cluers when we chatted with him a couple days ago. Winder winding his way for about 5. He said there are certain clues we look for, and those cornerbacks, because they're so good, give you those cluers, and they picked up one for 53 yards.
Well, Elway's going to have the continuous pressure right up inside. But he's got time here. Now watch him move in between people, and then that spontaneous move. That time the stunt took people so wide that Elway had more time than usual.
2nd and 4. Little delay to Winder. 10. He's to the 5-yard line. 1st and goal, Denver. Sammy Winder, the veteran from southern Mississippi, second to Floyd Little in all-time Denver rushing, getting his chance.
Winder made an excellent job of breaking here and then back behind the play, but the running itself was excellent. But look at the blocking by Lanier. He takes his man and just turns him in. That opens the hole. Number 76.
Elway throws on 1st down to Mobley. Touchdown.
Mobley was split outside, and Dave Grayson went out to cover him. So you had a linebacker and a big tight end. Grayson, not used to being outside and covering someone like that, lost Mobley at the line of the scrimmage, and it was a beautiful throw by Elway. Excellent tactics. I'm sure they had this play by last Tuesday. They knew they were going to use it at that point on the field.
Treadwell adds the extra point. It's 17-7, an 80-yard drive in 6 plays, and the 6'5" Mobley gets the touchdown, his first of the year.
Elway's dropping back. We don't get a real good look at it, but you see Mobley has a full 2 steps on Grayson when the ball comes down.